and 5, 4, 3, 2. It's a sunny day today. Ray-Ban, fake Ray-Ban. Alright, today I'm going to demonstrate that I can understand videos in English, and this video has been taken from the page Detectives. Alright, they're investigating crimes, okay, murders, slaughters, etc. And then it's got not subtitles at all, neither in English or in Spanish. I was able to understand on the computer or the cyber cafe. I don't have a computer, only two cell phones, mobile phones. Then I typed on Word what I was able to understand here, and here it is. Okay, here it is. This is what I understood, and I am going to read it aloud, out loud for you now. I was not able to understand this word nor this word. It was not clear to me, so I left. There is a blank there. Okay, now what is this video about? And this is the video I was able to understand. Okay, let's go.
As a suspect. It's still valid. They obtained a search warrant and began to look into her affairs.
We started talking to family members, and as a result, we started looking at her a little closer as a possible suspect.
Their first stop was to return to the crime scene. Thousands of dollars were found in the house. Cash stashed in every room. Investigators removed files and records from Roger's home. In poring over his records, Lieutenants Geigel and Headley learned Sharon Zachary was using Roger's credit cards.
Same thing here is some charge.
Detectives began to suspect their hunch about Sharon Zachary had been right.
We also pulled bank account statements, discovered that she had been actually withdrawing some funds from some of his bank account. So that kind of led us into motive a little bit, that there might be more to this, and that there might be some money that may be at issue.
Handle all of his legal and financial matters. As a matter of fact, he was in here.
For further insight into Roger's finances, they decided to question his lawyer. Roger's lawyer explained Zachary was granted power of attorney 4 months before the murder. But just 2 weeks before being found dead, the elderly man had abruptly changed his mind. He discovered $10,000 missing from one of his accounts, and he was furious.
The case further developed when we learned that Mr. Rogers had made a will leaving the property that belongs to him to Sharon Zachary upon his death.
With a motive clearly in place, Lieutenants Geigel and Headley sent an investigator to Roger's bank.
Kowalski, ¿cuál es nuestra trayectoria?
95% seguro de que estamos perdidos.
¿Y el otro 5%?
Aventura y gloria como ningún otro pingüino jamás había vivido.
Yo le entro a eso.
Together. And that's the form right there.
The bank manager said Sharon Zachary came in with Bob Rogers about a year before his death, asking to be put on his account.
He came back alone and filled out a form to take her.
Rogers sat by uncomfortably while the paperwork was completed. But he returned alone the next day, requesting she be removed from the account.
He wanted her removed as the power of attorney. He wanted to handle his own affairs, as he didn't trust Sharon Zachary any longer.
All right, I'm gonna check where I am here. Okay, so I'm keeping track of the video. Okay, Okay, let's continue here.
Mr. Rogers hadn't been able to get to his will yet. He was unfortunately murdered before he was able to do that.
Finally, detectives spoke to a security guard at a local discount store.
Okay, well, and here.
Zachary went to buy some shoes and attempted to use Bob Rogers' credit card. When the card was declined, security was summoned to the counter. They called Rogers at his house, and he told them that under no circumstances did he give Zachary permission. To use his credit card.
You got the lady trying to use your credit card.
She insisted there was a mix-up.
The significance of this card was that it caused Mr. Rogers to become suspicious because at that time he would have felt that he was being cheated by Sharon Zachary.
It was a huge break in the case. Detectives Geigel and Headley had confirmation that Sharon Zachary was desperately trying to take advantage of 81-year-old Bob Rogers. They were becoming more and more convinced that it was Zachary who killed the elderly man in a fit of greed. But they needed proof. If they could find a way to directly prove her guilt, the detectives knew.
Okay, right. This is what I typed on the computer, and they had it printed. The first stop was to return to the same crime. The first stop was to return to the same crime. Dozens of dollars were found in the house. Cash stashed in every room. Investigators removed files and records from Rogers' home. In poring over his records, Lieutenant Geigel learned Cheryl Accurate was using Rogers' credit card. Detectives began to suspect their hunch about Cheryl's Accurate had been right. For further insight into Rogers' finances, they decided to question his lawyer. Rogers' lawyer explained that Accurate was granted to retire money before the murder, but just 2 weeks before being found dead, the elderly man had abruptly changed his mind. He discovered $10,000 missing from one of his accounts, and he was furious. I didn't get this word. Then we learned that Mr. Rogers had made his will, leaving the property that belonged to him to Cheryl Accurate upon his death. With the motive clearly in place, Lieutenant instantly said he was investigating to Rogers' bank. The bank manager said Cheryl Accurate came with Bob Rogers about a year before his death, asking to be put on his account. Rogers sat down comfortably when the paperwork was completed. This is the end of first part. But he returned the loan the next day, requesting she be removed from the account. He didn't trust Cheryl any longer. Finally, detectives spoke to a security guard at the local discount door. Exactly, she went to buy some shoes and attempted to use Bob Rogers' credit card. When the card was declined, security was called into the counter. They called Roger at his house. He told them that under no circumstances did he give permission to use his credit card. She insisted there was a mishap. It was a huge break in the case. Detectives Cagley and Headley had confirmation that Sheriff Accurate was desperate in buying to take advantages of 80-year-old Bob Rogers. They were becoming more and more convinced that was Accurate who killed the elderly man in a blank. I didn't get this word, but they needed proof. They had to find a way that directly proved her guilty. Spanish. Lo primero que hicieron fue regresar a la escena del crimen, donde asesinaron a ese señor anciano. Miles de dólares en la casa estaban regados por se encontraron en la casa. Dinero regado en cada habitación. Los investigadores se llevaron los archivos y récords de la casa de Roger. Entonces, investigando sobre los récords, estos récords, ¿no? Entonces, el teniente Giddle supo que Sheriff Accurate estaba usando la tarjeta de crédito de Roger. Los detectives comenzaron a sospechar que su investigación estaba cierta. Entonces, buscaron más, investigaron más sobre las finanzas del señor Roger y decidieron interrogar al abogado de este señor. El abogado de Roger explicó que la señora Accurate se le había dado permiso para retirar dinero antes del asesinato, pero solo 2 semanas antes de que lo encontraran muerto, este señor mayor de repente cambió de opinión. Decidió otra cosa. Él descubrió que $10,000 estaban faltando de una de sus cuentas y se puso muy enojado. Aquí no entendí. Desde que él luego supo que el señor Roger había hecho su testamento dejándole la propiedad que le pertenecía a Sheriff Accurate cuando él muriera, con un motivo muy claro. Entonces el teniente lieutenant dijo que estaba investigando el banco de Roger, ¿no? El gerente del banco dijo que Sheriff Accurate había venido con Bob Rogers como un año antes de su muerte, pidiendo que la colocaran en su cuenta. Rogers estaba ahí sentado, se sentía incómodo cuando se terminó de completar todo el papeleo. Y vamos con la última y segunda parte. Pero regresó el préstamo al día siguiente pidiendo que sacaran a esta señora de su cuenta. No confiaba en Cheryl, ya no confiaba en ella. Finalmente los detectives hablaron con un guardia de seguridad en la puerta de descuentos y exactamente ella había ido a comprar unos zapatos e intentó utilizar la tarjeta de crédito de Roger. Cuando la tarjeta fue rechazada, se fue llamar a guardia de seguridad al mostrador. Llamaron a Roger a su casa y él le dijo que bajo ninguna circunstancia le había dado permiso para que se utilizara su tarjeta de crédito. Ella insistió que había una confusión. En este caso dio un gran cambio. Ahora, tuvo un gran cambio imprevisto. Los detectives Gagley y Headley tenían una confirmación, seguridad de que Sheriff Accurate estaba desesperada en comprar todo lo que pudiera para sacar ventajas de este señor de 80 años, de nombre Bob Rogers. Entonces, los detectives estaban cada vez más convencidos de que fue Accurate quien asesinó a este anciano no entendí esto, pero necesitaban pruebas. Tenían que encontrar la forma de demostrar que ella era culpable. Esto fue lo que yo entendí. Ok, lo dije en inglés, no tenía subtítulos del video y ahora lo traducí al español. Entonces, muchas gracias.